heart manifestors are truly here to create and to navigate their lives by identifying and articulating their deepest desires. And they're here to do that through the power of their spoken voice.
Already this analysis and this reflection from human design is showing me what I'm stepping more and more into within the years, right? Within the days, the weeks, the months. The gift that is my voice.
Welcome to Human Design Redefined. I'm your host, Jen Pinkstone, and we have a very, very special guest who is a dear and treasured colleague of mine returning to our channel today with his beautiful presence and his profound wisdom to share. Harrison Marr is a coach, mentor, and published author guiding spiritual entrepreneurs ready to lead with presence and purpose. Welcome, Harrison, and thank you so much for sharing your divine energy with us today.
I'm so excited, Jen, to be here. I'm so excited to get into your portal. And as I just said before we started recording, I'm excited to dance in these energies today. So I'm ready. I'm all yours.
Oh, I'm excited too. I've been wanting to have you on for quite some time for us to explore your human design because I really want to breathe energy, breathe life into this system that I feel can be very dry. I feel it can be very misunderstood, like putting people into this box. And I believe this is going to be a fascinating experience for me and for our viewers to really see this embodiment of how it is you just integrate this energy seamlessly into a human life. And that's what I want to bring to this experience in this channel of Human Design Redefined.
I'm already getting the goosebumps, Jen, because and I know you know this about me, but I'll share this for people tuning in. But it's very much, if you were to summarize my work in the world, other than how you just beautifully summarized it, by the way, but if you were to give another description of what I really spend most of my time doing, it's breaking the boxes, right? Helping people step out of the boxes that we unconsciously place on ourselves. So I'm excited to, human design has been a very valuable part in my journey. And I have seen what you're saying. I have seen the human design, let's call it the flaw of placing people in those boxes. Very beautiful, spiritual, sensitive, intuitive boxes, let me be clear, and still a box, right? So I'm excited today to, take this beautiful technology and teachings and be the channel and the example with your beautiful reflections of what it can look like to be unboxed.
Oh my
Let's do it.
goodness.
Let's do it.
Yes, amazing, amazing. Harrison is what is known, you guys, in human design as a heart manifestor. And we're going to get into the specifics a bit later about how these different characterized are defined in his chart, but we'll put that on the back burner for a moment. But I do want to say that heart manifestors are truly here to create and to navigate their lives by identifying and articulating their deepest desires to both themselves. That can be the first hurdle in the deconditioning process, but also by, for others. They're here to identify and articulate their deepest desires to others, to that illusory other. Because we are all one in a sense, but we are here as humans to experience that differentiation between ourselves. And they're here to do that through the power of their spoken voice.
I mean, you beat me to it, Jen. I was just about to flow from this space around the voice, right? And anyone that has been in my sphere for any amount of time, and I think there are a lot of people probably new tuning in, you start looking at my social media, if you start tuning into the podcasts I've done, even here on this discussion today, one of my gifts, one of my abilities that I've come back to, and this is what this part of the human design is reflecting, is my ability to just channel what is coming through the voice specifically. I've spent much time reflecting on it and being with it, and there's always more to go into. But a big part of it has been really reclaiming it from the shadow. I spent many years in my life suppressing my voice, changing my voice, not speaking the words, putting it in a particular way so I thought it would be received. And it wasn't until I first gave myself permission to stop doing those things and just show up in how it's expressing, show up in how it's flowing, and actually trust it. That's when the magic happens. So I very much, already this analysis and this reflection from human design is showing me what I'm stepping more and more into within the years, right? Within the days, the weeks, the months. The gift that is my voice, but also the gift it is for others, right? Because when we share our gifts, they're not just for us, right? They're not just, especially if it's the voice. I'm not just speaking and channeling right now for myself, for Jen. I'm speaking for everyone. And I know you've reflected this back to me specifically, Jen. I've lost count now how many times I heard it yesterday, people reflecting back to me when I'm speaking, them saying, oh, I don't know what it is about the voice. I don't know what it is about what you're saying, but I just feel like I'm home. I just feel like how you're expressing and what you're saying and the spaces between your words, whatever it is, it's making me feel good. And I feel a very big part of this is what you're reflecting in this chart, Jen.
Exactly. Exactly. And that's exactly what I was about to say, Harrison, is that your energy is this rare and potent flavor of energy that it does serve to inspire others to do the same for themselves in that identifying and articulating their deepest desires, because it doesn't come easy to everyone to do that. It's very deep and difficult work, and mentorship and guidance, and someone who actually lights up all of these different energies in order to activate and initiate that within their own energy body. This is a powerful tool because I think one of the biggest misconceptions about human design is that you have this energy and I have this energy and we are different and you're supposed to do that and I'm supposed to do this, when in fact we all have access to every energy in that body graph, and we're kind of like a circuit board where when I come in the proximity of someone like you who has this definition in and of themselves, it lights that up in me and allows me to experience my version of that. And it's amazing,
I'm very happy. I'm very happy you're saying that, Jen, in regards to the full access to the whole spectrum. I want to come back to the voice and activating it in other people a second, but I just want to speak to this. I teach a lot about, in my greatness program, I teach a lot about the clear senses. And I know you know this, Jen, the clear senses for people tuning in. These are your spiritual senses, your clairvoyance, your clairaudience, your clairsentience, the spiritual, let's say, the spiritual versions of your physical senses. We all come into this reality with one of them activated. But the key to understand, much like what you're saying with the human design chart, is that we have access to all of them. There is no Harrison has a heightened clairvoyance and Jen can't get there. There is no Jen has her beautiful clairsentience activated and whoever's listening, oh, that's just a her thing. No, we are, yes, this is the paradox, right? We are all unique. We are unique expressions of the same wholeness. So just like each wave of the ocean has a unique shape, each wave is made from the fullness of that same ocean, right? So what that means is we all have access to another metaphor, we all have access to the same sun energy that is beaming outwards, right? So, but I want to share a quick story, Jen, like just because of what you said around the voice. Yesterday, for people tuning in, I have a Telegram community And we at every week I share a transmission into the Telegram community where people can join and they can receive. It's a channel, it's a heart channel to help people step into more purpose and presence and love in their reality. Yesterday I shared a channel for the first time with Lily, my partner, that we did it together. And it was so easy for me to sit next to her as we were both doing the same thing, right? I'm using my fingers here. It's so easy for me to see her and say, "Oh, she's the same. She'll do the same thing as me. We'll both be in the same place, and we'll just speak, and it'll be beautiful." But in her own way, I saw her, as we all have her own things come up, her own shadows, her own wounds, her own insecurities, and I noticed not just the shadows and insecurities, but I noticed how those shadows and insecurities were softened by the witnessing of me being next to her and speaking and doing the thing that she was about to do,
Mm,
right? So
beautiful.
this is what you're saying, Jen. When we show up in these gifts, we act as a permission slip for
Mm.
those around us to step in beyond the fear, right? Beyond the pain, beyond the inner child wounds mostly that are stopping us from doing the thing.
Mm, that's incredible. And I am a member in that Telegram community, and I very much enjoy your transmissions and tuning into them. There is this powerful force to your voice that, I mean, I'm not going to say that everybody has that innately active within themselves, just like you were saying, like we have this it is a permission slip. I like that metaphor. It's a permission slip that, I mean, we all have a voice to speak, to express, to convey and communicate, but I don't think that you can really argue with the fact that there are some people when in their midst you feel more at ease to be able to do that, to the whole world, not just to them, but because their energy, they might not even need to say anything at all, but because their energy body is impacting and influencing yours, you have a different feeling to your internal self. And it is this beautiful cosmic, it's palpable and yet it's not tangible.
Yeah.
It is something that is undeniably the case, though. And I think that we all can agree that there are certain people that have, this powerful effect,
Yes.
whether it is activating of the voice or otherwise. And
Yeah.
with you, Harrison, because of your motorized throat, and like as a manifestors can have they have a motorized throat, whether it's motorized through the solar plexus, which is the vast majority of manifestors, or if it is motorized through the splenic center or the heart center, like yourself. The heart center is a very interesting and mysterious little center in human design. It is very different from that of the traditional chakra system.
Mm.
It's instead devoted to the body's inherent value and assessment of self-worth. And then
Mm.
whenever you bring in that other aspect of the throat center, which is really kind of like the speaker system on a boombox, it's not the CD being played, like it's not all of the different controls. It's simply the delivery system of
Mm.
what is innately already in action in the body. And but it's tied the heart center where you have that. This is what motorizes your throat, Harrison. It's tied to one's ability to actually feel that presence of that
Mm.
value within yourself,
Mm.
regardless of other external influences. Carrying that power to accurately access and assess and correctly ascribe what is valuable and worthy through the expression and feeling of what is most desirable to you.
Mm.
And most of us who don't have a defined heart center, people like myself, 70% of the human population, I'll add, most of
Mhm.
us, we don't have that consistent feeling in our body. It doesn't mean that it's not there. It just means that we
Mm.
can't feel it to navigate it. We don't have that feeling of self-worth consistent. It kind of comes and it goes,
Mm.
it ebbs and it flows, it waxes and it wanes. But when we are in the proximity of someone who has that consistently defined, that consistent energy flowing through them, like yourself, it gives us that activation, and
Yes.
it's incredibly powerful and it lights us up. And so it doesn't surprise me that you are in this work that you do to
Yeah.
provide that activation for your clients and for people that you work with every day.
I'm so excited, Jen. What a beautiful analysis. I'm so grateful for you and your big heart and your gifts in this world because you're an activator in yourself in your own unique ways, but just like I'm basking in your unique expression of this. So a few things here. Firstly, I very much over the years, more and more, and even more coming, stepped into the gift that I am to this world, as we all are, right? We're all gifts. We're all unique. Yes, we are. We have this fullness. We have this same base state, if you want to call it that, and we have a unique expression of it that is a gift to the world. And what you just defined for me is my expression of that. And that gift, like, let's just speak business right now, right? Let's just speak coaching. Let's just speak clients and working with people. I'll be very frank with you. It doesn't have a price tag. That gift for someone else, just tune into people. For people listening, tune into that for a second. Just imagine what that can do in your reality. Just imagine what that can do for the people that you love. Just imagine what that can do for maybe the people that are in your world that are sick and maybe stuck in victim consciousness, right? And I say all this not from ego. I say all this as an example of what is possible for people tuning in, right? Once you tune in to your gift, right? Once you tune into what you're here to radiate out into the collective, there is an infinite worth inside of you that's ready if you choose, right? This is all choice, but if you choose, you can make a business out of it. You can make this is your gift and you can put whatever price, right? I'm not saying that you need to go into the highest extremes, but this is an example of owning what you are, right? Where there's so many limiting beliefs, especially within the coaching industry of I'm not enough, right? I'm here doing these sessions for, almost nothing because to be spiritual means to charge nothing, right? To be spiritual means I need to go be the monk in the mountains and play in frugality, right? Yes, that's one version. Another version is owning the abundant source of worth that you always were. And if you want, traveling the world, right? Hosting retreats, writing books, meeting people, having divine spiritual partnership, all the things that I do, and taking it from that worth, right? Owning it from that worth. And then I want to reflect here, Jen, on the mysterious heart center that you spoke to. And I'll just say this for people tuning in. There's a reason that it's mysterious. There's a reason that most of us have question marks around it. And we can go into another podcast in the future around why there is so much mystery there. But I'll just say this. We are conditioned to be disconnected from it for a reason, right? We are conditioned to be disconnected from this mysterious center because it is the place to remember what you are. It is the place to tune into what you're actually here to provide the world. And all of these centers have a role, right? And Jen is a master at this, and she will speak all day about their unique expression. But the heart center, right? If you want to start meeting the God that is you, that's a really good place to begin.
Mm. Yes, your work around the heart center. I mean, I would say that that is one of the cornerstones and the foundational tenets of where you begin. Like if we were to take it back to the origin story, so to speak, right? That this is the the jumping off point by which, I mean, I tell my clients all the time that, you know, a prerequisite for this work that you feel called to do, either whether you've seen signs, whether you have had dreams. I mean, it doesn't really matter what led you here, but a prerequisite before you can even begin to show up for other people is this innate love within your own heart
Yeah.
center. And
Yeah.
another way of defining that through the lens of human design would be about assessing your own self-value. And I would say that you know, in this world, many are famished. We are very hungry for that. We are starving. We have forgotten how to assess our own self-worth. And this is where a lot of people who feel called to this work become desperately stuck because they're doing all the things. They're putting things into motion. They are, you know, that divine masculine is on overdrive, but there is this emptiness and they don't really know how to articulate it and to identify it. And that's where someone like yourself comes in so that you can help them to do that for themselves through the activation that you provide with your own beautiful energy.
A word I would use, Jen, is acting if you choose, right? Because again, I want to be very clear here. There is no right way. There is just your way. And if you choose that your way is going out into the world and charging for your services and offering your gifts and being the light that you wish to be, then you get to do that. And the word I would use is doing all of that from fullness, right? Reconnecting. Often I find it's easiest through the heart. I've coached clients in other ways, right? Because sometimes we're so closed off from that space, we can't start there. We need to go somewhere else. But most of the time, we can drop into that space and we don't get to the fullness, right? We don't do a thing and then we're full. We don't need to tick the box. We don't need to keep doing all the masculine actions, as you said, and then feel full. No, I can just be here right now doing nothing at all. And it's there. It's ready. It's waiting. Again, I just did a post on this. It's receiving. It's allowing. Going back to the other metaphor, it's a permission for what is already you to move through all that you decide to, we use the masculine definition, be the light out into the world, right? So you can't there's a difference between doing from scarcity and doing from fullness. It's felt, right? I could say the same word, but that word could be filled with emptiness, or that same word could be full with fullness. And this is the nuance, right?
Indeed it is. I mean, I just took this off of your website that it comes as no surprise to me why you're called to this powerful work that you do around inspiring worthiness and feelings of not enoughness that is an epidemic worldwide. I mean, in so many different ways, but in how it is that you help to unlock their greatness and to lead from that wholeness. without that as the foundational cornerstone of your work, and I don't care if you're a Reiki master or if you are a massage therapist, I
Yeah.
don't care if you are an intuitive healer or a psychic or a tarot card reader, it really doesn't matter. That is, it's like the prerequisite 101 to spiritual entrepreneurship that you
Yeah.
must apply. It
Yeah.
must come from that space.
Yeah.
And then it's like the possibilities are limitless. The entire world is
Literally,
open,
literally,
literally.
literally.
Mm-hmm.
I'll take your word must, Jen, and I'll make it a little bit softer because let's be a little bit more feminine, right? There's the I would use must every now and then, but you could even be more softer with it. Like you don't have to do anything, right? There's which is with this in itself. I'll share a practice here, right? This in itself is a way that you get back to this fullness and worthiness is remembering that the divine source that you are, the presence that you are, it does not have to do anything. Just remove that four-letter
Mm,
word from your vocabulary. Have, right? There is no obligation. It's made from unconditional presence. It's made from unconditional love. It's made from unconditional energy. So what does that mean? That means, in a very practical level, let's use the business context, that presence that is you does not expect or attach itself to anything that you do or do not do. So one very easy way, right? Let's speak to those Reiki healers, right? Let's speak to those yoga teachers. One very practical way to infuse fullness into all that you're doing throughout your day, maybe you're posting, maybe you're talking to clients, whatever it is to hold in your heart that all the actions you do come from a place of no expectation and attachment, right? Do
mm,
everything from that. And at first, it'll be bloody hard, right? I'm not perfect at this. There is no perfection here, but there is intention. So if you place intention, the intention of no expectation, the intention of no attachment, the intention of, I don't have to do anything, I choose. I get to do all of this, right? This is not work, right? This is another
mm,
illusion, right? This isn't work in my spiritual business. It's devotion. I'm choosing to show up with the fullness of my heart to teach this yoga class, right? To meet this person that's going to receive my energy because it's devotion. It's part of my godliness that I'm choosing to share with the external world.
mm-hmm. It takes it right back to that. What is it that you truly desire to be doing with your time, your
Yep.
energy, your focus here in this human body? And I love that you brought me back to that feminine expression because I do lose myself in extremes at times. I
As
will
we all do, Jen, as we
be
all do.
transparent in that, you know? It's and I did become lost, very lost down that dark hole of what I must be doing. And
Mm,
that it was something that it was very debilitating for me because I did lose sight. I
mm,
lost that feeling, that flame of
mm.
what it is that brought me here in the first place, that
Yes,
desire of what
yes,
it is that I intend to do with my energy. And it is easy to do. It's easy to lose your way
mm,
along the way of doing all the
mm.
things that you think that you must do.
Yes.
We
And
cannot put that above what it is that we are
yes,
desiring to do.
yes. And let's swing the other way, Jen, right? Because yes, this example. The must is the hyper masculine version, right? There is no must, there is no have. We don't have to do anything. And there is the hypersensitive way of well, because once you're in this space, right? Once you're in this fullness, once you're in this enoughness, there is the hyper feminine version of this that is like, oh, I don't have to do anything. Oh,
Mm,
I don't have to do anything, which means like, okay, I'm not going to do anything. I'm not going to reach out to clients. I'm not going to post anything. I'm not going to travel. I'm just going to stay here because my presence is full. Well, so why do I even need to do anything? And then this is the other side of it, which is yes. And I would ask you, is that as you, in your words, in your beautiful words, Is that the deepest desire? Because that too is a shadow. Because I can tell you from my experience, I can tell you from many clients and people in my life, Lily, but I'll just speak about myself. From my experience, when I'm in that fullness, when I'm in that wholeness, there is often a lot of inspired action that comes from that. There is a lot of, oh, I've touched my fullness, I've touched the sun, I've touched the deepness of the ocean that is me. Now I want to go share it. Now I want to get out into the world, right? As Jesus said, right? Be in the world, but not of it, right? I want to get out into the world to share my light because I'm inspired as the ocean to be the wave, right? I'm inspired as the sun to be the beam coming off the sun to light up the world. So this is the other side, right? And I speak to all the beautiful women tuning in, right? Because this is in the female body, that feminine consciousness is more heightened than in the male body, but it's just in me as it is in them. But the feminine that wants to just be in the beiness, it's beautiful, but let's tune into the desire of, okay, but is there inspired action there? And in most of the cases, there is.
Yes, indeed. And that is the magnetism
Yes.
that we are doing what it is that we intend to do to with that balance, because human design is all about the duality. It's literally powered by duality of all things, which is, that is the technology that we're working with here in this 3D world, right? It's not necessarily something that will continue forevermore with our infinite consciousness, but it is something that we are working with here. And there is a magnetism that is created through that balance in the
Yes.
duality between these differential
Yes.
energies that we're referring to in this beautiful discussion that
Yes.
is created. And I believe that you coined the term as being in sync with divine will. Is
Yeah.
this something that
Yeah.
you
I
remember this?
I don't know if I coined it. I'll claim it if so. Like let's let my beautiful ego be like, yep, this is me. So let's do it. But so yeah, we're circling around a lot of different words here, Jen. So I'll bring a couple in. So I'll bring it in together for people tuning in. So this magnetism that you spoke about and being in sync with divine will, when we have that divine masculine that is us and that divine feminine that is us in balance and harmony. Another way of saying that is being the channel of presence, right? We spoke earlier a second ago about how when I'm sharing my gift of my voice and I'm allowing presence to speak through it, it's felt. How it becomes, it's always there. That presence that is us that can speak through our gifts, it's always there. What is different, what is changing all the time is the expression of it, is the ability to channel more intensity through it. The
Mm,
analogy that I use to help people understand is it's the faucet that is, for most of us, it's just dripping consciousness. It's just dripping presence. It's just dripping in, let's use your example, it's dripping that divine will. But when we do the work, part of this work is that polarity balance that we just spoke about, that magnetizing polarity balance. That faucet turns on, right? That faucet becomes wider. So now the drips turn into a large stream of consciousness, presence, love moving through us out into the external world if we choose it. So that
mm,
is really like we're all channels, right? There's another word I'll use, but it's all together, right? We're all channels. We're all channels for the divine. We're all channels for consciousness. We're all channels for presence. Question is, how open is our channel? How balanced is our channel? How harmonized through those two polarities is our channel?
mm. I just had this spark come to me, and I remember tuning into one of your shorts on Instagram or Facebook, can't remember. I'm in all the places, but
Know the feeling.
you were referencing a memory that you
Mm.
had about, like, when you were like at one point in time, you're like, how do these like bombshell powerhouses how do they like keep up the energy
Mm.
going? I forget your
Yeah.
exact words, but how do they
Yeah.
keep that verve up in like sky heights, like of
Yeah.
impact? How do they just keep it going? It's like if we're trying, if we're pushing, if we feel
Yeah.
like we have to keep pushing, that's really like missing the point, and it's not at all what they're doing. What they're doing is they're achieving that balance between that divine masculine, that divine feminine aspect, and what it's doing is it's opening up their
Yes.
vessel to receive more of that divine will that's channeling through them. And in fact, it's quite effortless once
Yep.
you get there. And that's the way in which they are able to sustain that stamina that I think many of us are pushing to achieve, when in fact it is more about stepping back if we're pushing too
Yes.
hard. And if we're not pushing at all, it's about taking that first step.
Yeah.
It's like finding that delicate dance between the two,
Yes.
and that divine will, yeah, it will fill your vessel.
So,
Absolutely.
it'll fill it because it's easeful. It'll fill it because that's what you are, right? I'll share another analogy here, another example of this. If this wasn't clear at this point, this will make it even more clear. So there is a term in the spiritual community that we're both a part of called the twin flame. And a lot of people tuning in will immediately hear that and think, oh, the romantic person, physical person outside of me that is meant to complete me. Or maybe if you've gone a bit deeper into your spiritual journey, the twin flame is the other wholeness of me that is out there that I one day will rendezvous with based on my spiritual choices. I would say they're two variations of a truth, but there is the deepest version of the twin flame story is the twin flame was always you. And what I mean by that is we have the heart of God inside of us. And that heart, that full heart that we've been alluding to, is split right down the middle. And that split in the middle represents your divine masculine and your divine feminine. And that is the eternal twin flame. That is the eternal twin flame that was always you. And what will start to happen where, and let's speak business, right? If you're a healer and you wanna take what Jen and I just said, and you want to be that Tony Robbins, you want to be that, that Wayne Dyer that's on those stages, that is a channel of divine will and is easily and effortlessly going. What you can start to do, other than going in straight away, is you can start to see the reflections of your twin flame in balance in the people that you manifest, right? In the clients that come to you, right? In your friendship dynamics, in your collaborations. What does Jen, in her beautiful expression to me right now, what is it reflecting in me? Is it reflecting harmony? Is it reflecting a need for more masculine? Is it reflecting a need for more feminine? This is the true twin flame dynamic. And what will happen ultimately, if you do want to get into romance around this, your true romantic twin flame will be the person that tests this deeply, right? Will be the
Mm.
person that brings this out in you. So in my partnership with Lily, as an example, she's her own full being. I'm my own full being. And on a daily basis, this morning, it just happened before this call, the twin flame in her will activate and trigger the twin flame in me, right? And it will
Mm.
invite forward parts of my masculine, will invite forward parts of my feminine that I can choose to embody for that balance that we were speaking about.
Indeed. I mean, human design, the entire tenet of this philosophy, it was coined the science of differentiation, because we are here truly to relate to one another.
Mm,
That is the purpose, that is the underlying purpose of all the things, no matter what it is that you endeavor with your desire.
mm,
That is the golden thread, so to speak. And I love that version of the twin flame, because the twin flame is a phenomena that is shrouded in a lot of controversy. I know that much. I mean, it's something that I couldn't quite wrap my head around how I felt about that. I do try to hold space for everyone's spiritual philosophy. I know that there are some people that will dismiss human design as hogwash despite how meaningful it is to me, and I recognize that that is possible no matter what we're talking about. I will say though that your definition of it just now, it really it packs a punch of resonance in how I believe the entire concept, the whole model of it is actually relatable to so many other different philosophies and systems, and it does take away that let's call it a debilitating aspect of taking one's power away and feeling as though we are not whole in and of ourselves without this
Mm.
twin who's roaming
Yes.
somewhere external
Yes.
to ourselves. I think that was what I I really couldn't jive with,
Yeah.
whenever the definition was described to me.
Yeah. Yeah. It's this outsourcing effect, let's call it that, is it's everywhere. And it's also in these spiritual communities that we live in. It's so easy for our ego, because that ego is what does it, right? It's our ego, our separate identity that is beautiful and valuable and we need it, but it likes to grab hold and attach itself to whatever the terminology is and create separation. So
Mm.
I see it with love, right? I see it with devotion. I see it with, oh, I know what this is. So let me tune into divine truth. Is divine truth separation or is divine truth wholeness? Is divine truth out there or is divine truth in here? Is it, and it's always an inside job.
I wanted to, in our last few minutes, bring some awareness to your world travels
Mm,
and all of the different. I mean, you have been on communes and doing this powerful work,
mm,
in communities. And I wanted to bring
mm,
awareness to your
mm.
defined channel between your heart center and your throat center. It's known as the money channel. In human design, but it does not refer solely to the acquisition or distribution of money as a resource. And in fact, it refers to any and all resources that are necessary for a tribe to thrive. And that can be, attention, affection, focus, labor, all of the things, right? So it comes together between these two. And I mean, I've followed you all over the world in all of your different spaces, from Bali to India, and where you're now back at home in Australia.
Yeah.
I mean, you led a retreat in Mexico,
Mm,
not maybe it was a year ago. I
yeah.
mean, you have this extensive portfolio, let's call it, of all of these different places, and it's interesting, and I wanted to ask you about this
Let's do it.
particular money channel, in that manifestors have this let's reputation for being the leaders, of humanity. And there's this entire backlog that I could get into with ancient human history that I'll spare us during this chat. But they have manifestors have this repelling aura, and even many of these world leaders today are manifestors, and manifestors only comprise about 9% of the population. But the money channel specifically, your defined channel between your heart center and your throat center, it's a tribal channel. There are what are designated as tribal channels, and
Mm,
it wields that power, influence, and authority with respect to what is ultimately best for the group, and
mm,
how those necessary resources should be evenly and fairly distributed amongst the
mm,
individuals in
mm,
order for that tribal group to prosper.
mm,
And it is the manifestors in this model that are best designed for the allocation of these resources. And I wanted to ask you, with respect to your world travels, is this something that you experience with all of the beautiful people that you interact with? Is this something that rings true and resonates for you? When no matter where it is that you land in the world, is it something that is this a role that you find yourself kind of thrust into, no matter who
Mm.
it is in your midst?
So I am very flattered, Jen, of your keeping up with all of the travels, and it's been the short answer to your question is that yes, it is. It has been a something I have witnessed. But let's break it down, and I'm going to break it down with a invitation to people listening, because while this was there, and I did see it, right, and I just did, and it wasn't just India and Mexico, Bali. I also spent time, big community I lived in was in Italy. I also went to Brazil. We went to Colombia. We went to Canada. Like there was Thailand. It's been 2 years of just all around the world, and I didn't witness this. I wasn't able to witness this until I took the step. Right, this was in me. It was always there, and within my old paradigms, within my old stories and limitations that I had placed on myself, it wasn't being expressed because I wasn't giving myself permission to step into the unknown. And I
Mm,
teach a lot about this in my greatness program, right? Your next step, your biggest leap, your biggest upgrade, your biggest reconnection to these gifts that we're talking about here, this connection, this money channel, as you're saying, it's yes, it's here. Yes, it's inside of you. And it's most likely waiting for you to do the scary thing. It's most likely waiting for you to take that big leap that you've been pushing aside and pushing away because you're telling yourself you don't deserve it. You're telling yourself that you don't have the time. You're telling yourself that it just doesn't work for you. You're telling yourself you don't have the money. You're telling yourself whatever it is, right? I can tell you that in this example for me, my money channel activated once I took the step, right? Once I took the leap, for me, it was the initial step to host that retreat in Mexico, to release my book and get out into the world and host workshops and retreats. Another one came when I decided, oh, I want to go to India. I've never been there before. It's terrifying. I hear all these horrible stories, and yet my heart is pulling me. My heart is pulling me beyond all logical reasoning. There is a fearful step that I feel like I need to take, and I did it, and it opened, right? It opened
mm,
everything. And I did start to see what you're saying. I did start to see not just, my business, the books that I write, the podcast, the workshops, all those things expand. But I saw what you're saying, that magnetizing of people coming to me, the leadership moving from me, right, with ease, with my channel open and it being a unique characteristic of the presence that was flowing through me in these foreign settings that I took the step beyond fear into, right?
mm.
So this is really the lesson for people tuning in. I'm not saying you need to travel the world. What I am saying is this gift that is you is often unwrapped when you do the scary thing, when you do the scary thing that your mind is fearfully chattering about, telling you that you can't, but in all honesty, there is a fullness inside of you that knows that you can and there's more.
Mm. And that brings it full circle, does it not? Right back to you following what it is that you truly desire. I love that you mentioned that it was beyond all logical reasoning. These energies that we feel, that we intuit, they are received at, we are transmitting them through our body, quite literally. And
Mm.
logical reasoning is in a different section of processing, if you will, than that pull that you felt innately within yourself as a heart manifester who is designed to follow that desire regardless of what maybe a different section is telling you, or
Yes.
maybe someone or something external to yourself is communicating. This is the fire that is burning, that in following that has really brought everything into place in your business, in your life, and everything that transpired as a result of you following your
Mm,
heart's desire.
mm,
And that's incredible. That's beautiful. And that's a perfect example that I wanted to speak to about
mm.
feeling these energies in our body and how to differentiate them, because they do come from different places, but the
Yes.
the chattering of the mind versus the gut feeling, the gut reaction. I, as a generator, have this ability to respond to others. That's where my power lies.
Mm,
Like, working in a vacuum in and of myself is not what I am designed to do. I am
mm.
designed to relate to, respond to. That differentiation, that is the illusory other outside of
Yes.
myself. And I love that expression. I love that is where it led you, Harrison.
Mm.
That's a beautiful cherry on top, let's call
Cherry
it.
on top. Yeah, and I'll end with this, Jen, and say that all of this is teachable. Right? This is why, and I will go back to what you said. This is why we're here to be in relation. Right? This is why we're here to be the God, the divine, the source, the presence that is me in relationship with the God, the divine, the source, the presence that is Jen. We're here to be the mirrors back to each other to see beyond that which we are unconsciously stuck in. We
Mm,
started with a quote, and I'll end with a quote. My top three favorite of all time from Mr. Jung is, until we make the unconscious conscious, it will direct our lives and we will call it fate. So, what that means in relation to what we're saying is that isn't your life is created most likely from your unconscious desires. And those unconscious desires, for the vast majority of us, are from smallness, are from, I need to be in this box, right? I need to stay like this. I need this 9 to 5 job. I need to be in romantic martyrdom because I don't deserve a partnership that comes with me around the world. I need to, insert. And the unconscious holds this. And it's proof of your magic. It's proof that you are the creator being of your reality. So the question is, going back to the mirror, who do you need in your life to reflect back to you your greatness rather than your smallness? Who do you need in
mm.
your life to reflect back to you the beautiful magician you came here to be, to create the life that you actually deserve, not just the one you're compensating for because you don't know how much you're worth.
Love it. I am so grateful for this illuminating conversation. And going to just invite you back for a future podcast where we
I
can
would love to,
talk
Jen.
all about Jung and the conscious and unconscious aspects. There is so much to unpack there. And just everything that you've shared with us today, it's always illuminating, Harrison. It is always a gift to have you as a guest on the channel. So, to
Sure.
connect further with Harrison Marr, I want to invite all of our viewers to visit his website, harrisonmarr.org, which is going to be linked in the comments below and in the description of this video. And I also want to invite you to like and subscribe to our channel for continued conversations that seek to bring human design wisdom to life with real humans, embodying these real energies in a full spectrum of embodied differentiation between us. So thank you for tuning in to Human Design Redefined. I'm your host, Jen Pinkstone, signing off. Till next time.